If you live next to a busy intersection or you just can't get the kids to quiet down, you may want to look into building a soundproof room in order to isolate your recordings. There are a lot of guides out there on how to build soundproof walls and even a lot of pre-built and DIY hacks. But in this video, we want to look at what the strategies and options we have for setting up an isolation booth from the very beginning, starting with the question of whether or not we need an isolation booth in the first place. If you're not in a very noisy environment, setting up a small isolation booth might cause more issues than it solves. Your first reflections are going to happen sooner and be louder in a small room. So you're going to get more comb filtering and smearing of the audio image. Also, it's going to be a lot harder to fit thick panels in a small room, so treating lower frequencies is going to be a pain. It might be easier and give you a better result to set up a record zone in a larger space. You can refer to our live room video if you want more info on how to do that. If you are stuck with a lot of external noise that you can't control, then using an isolation booth might be worth the trade-off that comes with recording in a smaller room. The first thing we want to look at when setting up our isolation booth are the dimensions. Many people might start with a 4 foot by 4 foot footprint with 8 foot ceilings. While having 4 walls that are the same size might make construction easier, the more symmetry in our dimensions, the more certain frequencies are going to build up, causing unwanted peaks and nulls in our frequency response. If we change those dimensions so that no two dimensions are the same or are multiples of each other, then we can get a drastically better room before we even get to absorption. So instead of 4 by 4 by 8, we might try 5 by 7 by 8. Remember, an isolation booth's main purpose is to isolate the room from the sound outside, so it needs to be as airtight as possible. Anywhere that air can freely move in and out of the room, so can sound. Keep this in mind when you're running your cables or putting your door on the room. An airtight room is also going to need ventilation if you don't want your talent to pass out from lack of oxygen or heat exhaustion. For absorption, you're going to want to make sure you have a treatment that's rated for the full range of human speech, which can resonate below 100 Hz. An isolation booth used primarily for vocals could use our 244 bass trap to line the walls and ceilings. If you plan on recording bass-heavy instruments though, you're going to want something thicker like a Monster or a Soffit. A small isolation booth should have as much absorption coverage as possible, as you're not going to get any beneficial effects from the room's natural characteristics. So remember to treat your ceiling and put down rug and carpet on the floor to help as well. Traditionally, isolation booths actually haven't always been the small closet-sized rooms you see in so many home studios. An isolation booth can be as large as the room you have available for it, and this can help facilitate large instruments like drums. In these larger isolation booths, we can start looking at combination absorbers and diffusers like our Alpha and Impression series. One common strategy for putting together an isolation booth is to build the whole walls out of absorption material framed in wood and wrapped in fabric. This can be a useful strategy if you're looking for a seamless look or if you're just low on space. If you are going to go the do-it-yourself route, you can order GIK's high-quality absorption materials and fabrics so that you can get a professional treatment that's Green Guard certified and formaldehyde-free for your custom build. If you're looking for a less permanent solution, many of GIK's freestanding options, such as the PIB, can be combined to make temporary isolation booths that you can then move or break down when you're not using them. This is useful if space is at a premium. If you're still unsure what isolation booth strategy is best for you, go ahead and fill out our free acoustic advice form and we'll get you a personalized consultation. Get free acoustic advice. Visit gikacoustics.com for educational articles and tutorials.